For 6 days towards the end of April, nearly 300 drivers in their cars congregate to Launceston for the running of TARGA Tasmania, a unique tarmac rally. Held over 40 competitive stages and 500 kilometres of closed roads, the event takes in some of Tasmania's most spectacular scenery. TARGA Tasmania provides the final round for the Australian Tarmac Championship. It's also an opportunity for spectators to see drivers and machines in all their glory. Included are categories for all car lovers, from the sleek, powerful modern cars of today to the majestic classics of yesteryear. There's a rookie class and even a category for cars fresh from the showroom. Welcome to TARGA Tasmania 2010, the ultimate tarmac rally. To level the playing field of TARGA, the competition is split into several different categories according to age and performance. The basic divisions are modern and classic. In pure Tasmania modern, the field consists of modern and early modern for late model entries. The pure Tasmania showroom category allows manufacturers to showcase their more competitive vehicles. Shannon's Classic sees vehicles separated into two categories, Classic Handicap and Classic Outright, to decide the fastest classic car in the field. Other classes include the Shannon's Vintage Rally for cars built in the earlier half of last century, and the Pure Tasmania Rookie Rally, a scaled-down competition for first-timers at the event. Finally, in the Unique Cars Tour category, vehicles are not timed, but enjoy the benefit of closed roads without the added pressure of competition. With around 260 cars in the field this year, TARGA Tasmania is set to be a car enthusiast's dream. Day 1 sees the field travel through the Tamar Valley and the farming areas of the northwest coast. This contrasts beautifully with the mountain passes of Day 2 that offer some of the most challenging tarmac roads in the world. Day 3 returns to the northwest of the state, climbing the peaks of the Western Tiers. Sathana and Helia Gorge stages are the heroes of Day 4, as the field heads to Tasmania's west coast. From here, the field must endure the mammoth Day 5, as it heads from west to south, finishing at Hobart's Rest Point Hotel. "30 years after launching the hugely successful Audi Quattro, the German car maker is producing another 5-cylinder engine of a very special kind, this time in the turbocharged 2.5-litre Audi TTRS. 260 kilowatts of grin-inducing power, leather interior and an aluminium body means a sprint from 0 to 100 in less than 5 seconds, combined with a certain refined sophistication. Throwing it into the corners are husband and wife team Matt and Casey Close.
The best thing about it is it's just so easy to drive, and it's one of those cars that you feel like you've been driving all your life the minute you get in it. The best feature of it is the four-wheel drive system. The Audi Quattro system, which is the latest generation they've put in this car, it has the ability to put the power down where you need it.
With loads of grunt, plenty of stick on the road, and all the style to match, the TTRS should have what it takes to muscle its way to the pointy end of the field.
This will be our 7th Targa. Our first in an Audi, so we're looking forward to that. This thing has got fantastic power, fantastic grip and very easy to drive, so we're looking forward to getting it out there.
4, 3, 2, 1. Target is away and running, John Lawson. In the Delage, the flag car heads off. It's a big
The Temco Prologue is the green light for TARGA Tasmania 2010. A year of preparations and expectations are now realised. Each year, the northern town of Georgetown hosts this 4.8 kilometre street stage. It's a qualifying session, TARGA style. Traditionally, Jason White is apprehensive in his approach to the Temco Prologue, but not this year. After finishing the build on the car just 24 hours earlier, the Whites desperately needed to test the Lamborghini's performance. The result? Fastest in modern by a whopping 5.6 seconds. Rex Broadbent confirmed his favouritism status despite his lack of preparation. His team recorded a time of 3 minutes 21 seconds. The 74 Porsche starting 2010, where it left off in 09 as the fastest classic car. David Cooper's A9X Tirana was also finally unleashed. The angry V8 had to be harnessed around the tight, twisty sections, but still fast enough to qualify second fastest. In 1977, Holden developed a limited-build, high-performance muscle car aimed at winning the annual Bathurst touring car race. And win it did. Known as the A9X, it originally contained a snarling 5-litre V8 engine and fast became the ultimate machine in the Tirana family. Unleashing its anger on TARGA this year will be veteran motor mechanic and Holden enthusiast David Cooper.
We had to build a car from scratch basically because we've run TARGA 16 years in a row. Over the years I've found just about every way to lose the event and had a lot of reliability issues. We've had to build this thing from scratch in our workshop, and so we started with an integral roll cage and put a lot of go-fast bits in the car. It's good.
With modifications far outweighing the original specs, it's sure to be a white-knuckled ride for Cooper and his crew.
I've always said it's my Mount Everest. It's, you know, tarmac rallying is fun. I'm a motor mechanic by trade. We build everything in-house, and the majority of the enjoyment I get out of it is preparing the car in our own workshop and taking the mainlanders on and trying to beat them at their game.
Day one, the field winds its way around the wine-growing region of the Tamar Valley before heading northwest. A relaxed start to the event whets the appetite for what lays ahead. Stage times are increasingly more difficult to clean as the day progresses. The Sheffield stage, one of the highlights. Day one is a gentle introduction to the event. Base times are normally very achievable, but not this year. A weather front has descended on northern Tasmania, and the resulting storm makes conditions anything but gentle. The first stages become the last for many competitors. The slippery conditions make driving and navigating extremely hazardous. Stage 2, Cayena. And 2 kilometres into the stage, Ben Matthews' Mitsubishi Evo spun and perilously slid off the road, taking out a power pole, suffering only minor injuries due to the safety requirements of the cars. The impact was enough though, to move the power pole 1 foot in the ground. Just staying on the tarmac was becoming a challenge in itself, especially for rear-wheel drive V8 horsepower-packed classics. infamous Moriarty hairpin, always ready to prepare some humble pie for drivers. The Mitsubishi of rookie Mario Calabria was searching for a shortcut, but ultimately cost him time. Moriarty was the first stage to start attracting time penalties. Kevin Weeks was fastest modern in his 2007 Lamborghini Superleggera, 1 second quicker than last year's champ Tony Quinn in his GTR.
9 left, 600.
2008 modern winner Steve Glennie and Bernie Webb in their two-wheel drive Mazda RX-8 was somehow revelling in the wet. As the storm passed and roads dried, Glennie took his chance and laid down some incredible times through Nook and Sheffield. The afternoon of day one is where Jason and John White like to announce their intentions. After a blitzing run through the Temco prologue, they held their nerve through the inclement weather to emerge as the fastest modern at day's end. The White Hot Racing team were fastest on Merseylee and Western Creek, carving out a 9-second lead by the end of the first day's competition. In 2009, Lamborghini introduced what it called the fastest one-make series in the world. Weighing in at only 1,300 kilos dry, the all-wheel drive Super Trofeo is a lightweight version of the Gallardo LP 560-4 super sports car. Under the bonnet lies a massive 5.2-litre V10 engine, kicking out 570 brake horsepower. Steering the machine this year are perennial TARGA Tasmania competitors Jason and John White.
We learned all the differences with the car over a period of 4 weeks because we only started building it 5 weeks ago. When we started to strip it, there was actually no new parts sitting on the workshop floor. We didn't have any plans of how it all went together, so we had to sort of nut out exactly as we went. One of the most expensive jigsaw puzzles I've been involved in.
The pair go into the event holding a handsome lead in the Australian Tarmac Championship.
Competition's tough. It gets tougher and tougher each year, and not only the competition gets tougher, but just people are putting more and more homework into this event, and it's just getting more and more serious.
The Whites have tasted TARGA Tasmania glory before, previously winning the modern competition in 2005, and look to stand atop the podium once more.
7 right, 100, little crest straight, 250.
Defending Shannon's Classic outright champion Rex Broadbent was again pushing hard in the 1977 Porsche 911, dodging the carnage to record consistent times on each stage. Arguably the classic competition's fiercest competitor, John Siddons also played his cards correctly, not letting Broadbent get away, his Datsun slower by only 30 seconds at day's end. In the driving rain of day one, David Cooper was having a wild ride in his powerful A9X Tirana, somehow staying in touch with roads that would normally see him drive conservatively. 27-year-old Paul Batten loves driving his dad's old Volvo. His talent and competitiveness resulted in 5th place in Shannon's Classic outright in 2009. This year, he was again extracting every ounce of performance from the PV 544. Equal third with Cooper and leading the handicap section.
100, long, 5 left, late over crest.
Since the first Volvo rolled out of the factory in Gothenburg in 1927, the Swedish car maker has grown from strength to strength. Constructed to withstand the harsh Swedish climate, Volvos were built with quality and safety in mind. The PV 544 is a prime example. Built in 1961, the model pioneered the use of 3-point safety belts. It combined American flair with European size, becoming an instant success. Sharing the cockpit, father and son team Michael and Paul Batten.
A lot of people think Volvos are boring and they're only driven by fuddy-duddies, but back in the 1960s they were really performance machines, and the Volvo car company won the European Rally Championship in 1963 and 1964. The 1964 victory was using the PV 544.
It's a pretty amazing car. I think there were stages last year when we overtook Evos and V8 Commodores and all sorts of powerful machinery. It doesn't look that fast, but it's definitely a quick motor car.
With twin Webers, performance camshaft, uprated suspension and close ratio gearbox, the Volvo will be no slouch through the twisting stages of TARGA Tasmania. Day 2's stages climb the peaks of Tasmania's northeast, before the drop to the lunch hold at the holidaying hamlet of St Helens. Stages such as the Seidling and Wellborough Pass define Day 2's TARGA journey. An old-fashioned mountain climb, a sprint through an old mining town, and a dash around the legendary streets of Longford completes the day. TARGA Day 2. The weather is clear and the roads are dry.
Long 8 left opens 250.
The Seidling stage is one of the TARGA gems and introduces the fields to a menu of tight, twisty sections through the mountainous regions in Tasmania's state forests. Defending champions Tony Quinn and Naomi Tillett in their 2009 GTR found themselves well off the pace after day 1. They were coming in third, but 30 seconds from the lead was far from ideal. The testing Seidling was their time to shine. Over the 12k section, they recorded a time of 7 minutes 13 seconds, faster than second place White by 5 seconds. After an absolutely amazing drive through day 1, Steve Glennie and Bernie Webb went into the Seidling stage. Here, a good performance would see them take the modern lead. Instead, fuel pump problems on Glennie's favourite stage set them back. They recorded only the 7th fastest time, slowing by 13 seconds. The Mazda service crew quickly attending to the problem on the transport stage, giving reason for Glennie to put the foot to the floor. Likewise, the Skelta of Ray Vandersee was pushing hard and was recording some of the fastest times of the day. Jason and John White's spirits were high. The last-minute build on their Lamborghini prevented them from a thorough reconnaissance, but each of their stage times were right at the front. The Elephant Pass mountain climb saw the Whites fastest by 6 seconds over Glennie. Jason White hugging each corner and clipping a guidepost.
Left 5.
He had extended his lead to 44 seconds going into Ross Arden, but the first corner was peppered with gravel. The Lambo losing traction, as well as 13 seconds to Glennie.
And 7 left, tightens to 5.
Day 2's dry stages lay in front of Shannon's classic leader. And Rex Broadbent had one thing on his mind: to go as fast as he could and build the lead. His 35-year-old Porsche 911 RS was absolutely flying, recording a time of 7 minutes and 28 seconds. He was the 5th fastest car on the road, including the modern field. With just one stage down, his lead had gone to a minute. And by day's end, that would stretch to 1 minute and 27 seconds. He was fastest across most of the stages and dominated the Shannon's classic field.
We went pretty hard in the first few stages. It'd be nice to get a bit of a break and then we can back off. And I happen to like the East Coast. So I think we're about a minute in front. And I still think Peter Eames will probably be our toughest competition. And I think he's about a minute and a half back or thereabouts. So I can start relaxing and just conserving the car. They're 35 years old and getting fragile. So, you just do what you can.
The Datsun of John Siddons and the A9X of David Cooper were in a duel for second place, the pair swapping places several times through the day. There were very few long straights for the Cooper and Dan A9X to unleash its brute force. The 240Z was much better suited to the tight, twisty sections. Paul Batten was again pushing hard in the Volvo, and his times were good enough to be 5th fastest over the entire classic field, despite the horsepower disadvantage. The Shannon's classic handicap section takes into consideration these disadvantages and showed Batten outperforming all others, his lead stretching to 58 seconds by day's end.
Today was good. We were just trying to look after the tyres mostly. I mean, we're just trying to drive smoothly and just take neat lines, nothing too spectacular. But yeah, I guess it's a long rally and we've got to keep in mind there's a few more kilometres left.
Day 2's final stage is Longford, a motoring mecca for Australian motoring tragics and the Targa field. The end of Day 2 also marks the end of the Rookie Targa Rally, a great way to introduce the field to the event. Adam Newton, in a 1997 Mitsubishi Evo, was crowned the 2010 Modern Rookie Rally Champion, and Stephen Baran, in a 1981 Volvo, the Classic Rookie Rally Champion. The story of Skoda began in 1895 when two Czech designers, Lauren and Clement, started their own bicycle shop. Over a century later, the company now builds on its athletic heritage by releasing the Octavia RS. Combining hot hatch mechanicals with a small wagon layout, the vehicle will run as virtually a standard production car, with a few tweaks to improve performance. Behind the wheel, motoring veteran Mike Sinclair.
It's a turbocharged 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine. It's got a twin-clutch gearbox. It's got round about 190 kilowatts, we think, but we haven't tested it. Their standard car's got 147, and this one's just been turned up just a little bit.
Spirited and sporty, the Octavia will be Skoda's debut into tarmac motorsport in Australia.
Against Lamborghinis and Ferraris, I think we'll probably be a little bit slower than them, but it's a great car. It's a good, solid car. It's quite predictable. It handles really well, so we'll just run it through the 5 days and see how we go.
With a long and distinguished history in international rallying, Skoda's edgy new offering should have all the firepower to impress in Targa 2010. Day 3 of the rally heads once again to the northwest of Tasmania, starting through the farming communities of Deloraine and Elizabethtown. Stages climb into the western tiers, with the roads of the Mount Roland stage an absolute Targa highlight.
It's all right, we're right.
No, we're not all right.
That's okay, it's okay. It's okay.
The beautifully prepared 2010 Audi TTRS of Matt Close came to an abrupt finish on the Dunorland stage.
We've carried a bit too much speed over the crossing over there and bottomed out, and I think I've rolled the tyre off the rim at the same time. We've come around the corner and we just went straight, so we really had nothing, so there wasn't much I could do except try and pick a nice soft place to land.
The time to be conservative is over. It's now time to get down to business.
Right late on brow to 9
9 left long. Oh. 9 left long.
4. Left 4.5. 150.
Mazda Motorsport was in second place, looking to make up time. The vehicle had performed brilliantly on the later stages of leg 2, but had lost boost, taking a hit on the leaderboard.
A bit disappointing this morning, lost a turbo hose, so we've had to do the first 3 stages without boost, so dropped a bit of time, but hopefully the boys can work to fix it now and we'll be back running again this afternoon. We should be good up through Mount Rowan, up through the hills and the tight and twisty stuff, so fingers crossed we get the boost issues sorted and we get back out there.
The problem was fixed at the end of the section, enabling the RX-8 to be back on the heels of white. The pure Tasmania modern competition was developing into a 4-way battle. Ray Vandersee in the Skelta and Tony Quinn in the GTR were ready to take their chances. Jones, Vandenberg and the old master Jim Richards also lay in waiting. TARGA's competition and category mix allows for many different marques to compete on the same stage. The showroom competition had Tony Warren and Tarmac magazine editor Dean Evans in the Mitsubishi Evos in first and second place, with 21-year-old Brendan Reeves in his Mazda 3 MPS 1 minute 34 seconds off the lead. Rex Broadbent had not loosened his grip on the classic outright lead, doing just enough to outrun those chasing him.
Some just put oil everywhere. And
drama on the Mount Roland stage, with several cars leaking oil, adding to the slippery conditions. Through no fault of their own, Steve Glennie and the Mazda RX-8's valiant TARGA campaign ended on a very steep section of the stage.
We're having quite a good run in this stage, but unfortunately we've come around a corner and run into the car of another competitor parked on the race line, doing the right thing, trying to stop for an accident, but unfortunately our cars have come together.
We were first car on the scene. The road was extraordinarily slippery. We saw the Porsche over. We stopped, got out of the car to render assistance and put out triangles and warn, and the Mazda came around the corner, obviously still committed, and tried to avoid us, but hit the back of the car. And fortunately no one was hurt, and that's the most important thing, I suppose.
With more than 16 TARGA events under his belt, David Cooper knew when to take the foot from the floor.
6 left downhill 100.
The oil leak costing him a minute.
Oil. 6 left downhill 100. And then caution, 2 right and 3 left. 2 right and 3 left 100.
The Delta Hydraulics leaderboard at the end of day 3 revealed modern leaders Jason and John White had a 1-minute advantage over the Skelta of Ray Vandersee and the GTR of Tony Quinn. The Shannon's Classic leader Rex Broadbent was out in front by 2 minutes. Likewise, in the handicap section, Paul Batten held a dominant lead. With the 2 biggest days lying ahead of the field, the run to the finish line will undoubtedly provide more to the TARGA Tasmania story. Alpine began life in 1957 as a tiny French sports car specialist. Its Dieppe factory design became famous for its steel chassis, fiberglass bodies and Renault engines. The most successful of the Alpine-Renault combo was released in 1963 and was known as the A110. It was this model that would later go on to win the top 3 places at the Monte Carlo Rally in 1971 and 73 and win the World Rally Championship that same year. Commandeering the French vehicle is Swiss-born Ernst Luthi.
It's a normal 1300 engine, a 1289 engine, Renault 12. At the Renault 12 it had a single downdraft Weber on it, and we obviously modified that one. So we put a Renault 11 head on it, so we can have around double Webers, and brought the engine out to 1397 cc's as well. So a little bit more oomph and hopefully a bit more top speed up the hills here in Tasmania.
Only time will tell whether the A110's nimble handling will give the team the boost they need for all the twists and turns of TARGA Tasmania 2010. The Sethana stage greets teams at the start of day 4. 38 kilometres of tarmac that has built the legend of TARGA. Stage after stage, the challenge is amplified and time penalties grow. The day heads to the seaside town of Ulverston, then climbs the mountains once again to the overnight stop in Strawn. TARGA Tasmania is the pinnacle for tarmac rallying anywhere in the world. The roads waiting over the next 2 legs are second to none. The field journeys to the unforgiving west coast of the island. While Tasmania is small, home to only 500,000 people, the wilderness of its wild west is vast. So are the roads on these 2 days of TARGA rally. This area is home to Jason White and his uncle John. Each year they build towards their goal of not only finishing this challenge, but to be the fastest. White had a blistering run over the Sethana stage, extending his overnight lead by a further 37 seconds. Ray Vandersee and his Skelta now had the challenge before them and time to make up. He and co-driver Cameron Reeves wasted no more time.
Over bridge and then keep right 2.
White was now in the rare position of trying to keep up.
Late left 4 plus on crest, then left 6.
If they beat us through Rihanna there, they're having a crack because we had nothing left. She was right on the boil.
There was one TARGA master also starting to mount a challenge at the podium. One of Australia's greatest ever drivers, Jim Richards.
No, I had a good run over Sethana. It wasn't anywhere near as slippery as we thought it would be, so that was a pleasant surprise, you might say.
The Shannon's Classic outright competition was now a battle for 2nd and 3rd place. With the Broadbent Porsche leaping ahead of the field, the battle was being waged between the Siddons Datsun 240Z, the Porsche 911 RS of Peter Eames, and the Tirana of David Cooper.
Possible gravel. 6 right here. Then at the end it's a 6 left and a long 8 right. At the very end here, it's a 6 left and long 8 right. And closes over the bridge. Closes over the bridge and short 9 left 200.
What's that?
At the end, 6. At the end it's a 6 left.
Siddons Datsun was loving it in the wet. Fastest over the mammoth 38-kilometre Sethana stage. They then maintained the pressure on Guns Plains and Rihanna. It was not the same for David Cooper and Jason Dan in the power-packed Tirana. Traction a problem. The pair dropped plenty of time over Sethana and Guns Plains. Peter Eames and Will Logan in an identical Porsche to Broadbent were now a clear 3rd, with Siddons in their sights. On Hellier Gorge, Siddons and Ferguson lay silent as the pair watched their challenger go past. The father and son team of Paul and Mike Batten had remarkably defied the odds once again. Their Volvo had overtaken the Cooper Tirana to hold 3rd place in the Shannon's Classic outright competition. So, the wash-up on the Delta Hydraulics leaderboard shows Rex Broadbent with daylight back to Peter Eames' Porsche. The reshuffle of the Shannon's Classic competition for handicap honours shows Batten with an insurmountable challenge for Peter Ulrich in his Jensen. But veteran TARGA campaigner Ulrich well knows that the classic race is as much about survival and endurance as it is about being the fastest. The Jensen up from 7th, now to 2nd. Jason White was only able to extend the lead by 9 seconds through leg 4. In the Pure Tasmania showroom competition, it's a very similar story, with Tony Warren's Evo 9 now having a clear lead. Slowly but surely, Brendan Reeves and Rhianna Smythe were creeping ever closer to second place. The final stage of the day saw them put in an absolutely amazing performance. Fastest on the stage by a colossal 22 seconds. More importantly, they claimed second place, 53 seconds faster than Dean Evans' Evo 10. One day to go, the mother of all TARGA stages awaits, a 57-kilometre pursuit that will elect the TARGA champions. Not long after the automobile was introduced, drivers discovered the fun of racing their horseless carriages. For manufacturers, the racetrack became the perfect marketing arena, a concept that entrepreneur Louis Delage understood very well. Shortly after forming his company in 1905, he started winning races and thus began selling cars. A fine example of Delage's skill in engineering and elegance is seen in the 1936 Delage D670. Donning the leathers, John Lawson.
They were for show as well as go. This car was designed by Fagoni and Falaschi, often known as Phony and Flashy, by the British, but they were typical of the better French designers.
This particular vehicle has also had a long and colourful history.
It was commandeered by the SS in Paris. The identification plate still bears the grey paint that the Nazis put on the entire car, including the engine compartment.
Rich in heritage, the Delage serves as the year's flag car, the vehicle chosen to represent the philosophy and spirit of TARGA Tasmania. That is, an international motoring event for cars of distinction. For the field that has made it this far, 32 stages have been completed. Some vehicles look shiny and new, others display the battle scars of the journey. Day 5's start line introduces the field to their toughest challenge yet, the environment, the weather and the roads, all extreme and not to be taken lightly. The leaders, Rex Broadbent's Porsche, Jason White's Lamborghini and Tony Warren's Evo, all had comfortable leads. It's now a careful balance between speed and self-preservation. Just as it was at the start of the week, the rain was teeming down once more. Modern cars only have 4 tyres that can be used for the entire event. The classics have 6. With very little tread remaining, the greasy roads were just another thing to contend with.
I had no steering. I'm sorry, Dad, it broke.
These roads would once again claim the hopes of many entrants. Fortunately, the only wounds inflicted were on their vehicles and their pride. Peter Eames was not going to leave Tasmania wondering what might have been. He and co-driver Will Logan's chase of Broadbent was over on the Strawn stage. The pair would keep going, determined now just to make it to the finish. The second blow to their Porsche on the Tara-Lee stage, however, ended all hope. The Whites' plan was simple. Push on for the first couple of stages and then sit back. After the first 2 stages, Jason White had landed the killer blow and put any change in the lead out of the question. Ray Vandersee's Skelta could now only hold on for second place. The Queenstown stage is exceptional. The combination of the tight and twisty sections make up the famous 99 bends. In the dry, it's a challenge. In the wet, drivers have their hands full. Miraculously, David Cooper was into second place. With so much rain, not even Cooper himself thought he'd be so close to the lead. He made it safely through Queenstown. Having experienced the heartache of day 5 in the past, Cooper had now lost oil pressure and once again was left stranded on the side of the roads of day 5.
Holy Well, I've found every way to lose the event, and it's just another tick in the box of how to actually not finish on the podium. So, bloody disappointing for sure.
For Broadbent, victory was now a formality once more. And for the second straight year, Paul Batten proved that he is one of this country's greatest tarmac rally drivers, into second place outright in a 49-year-old Volvo. Tasmania's capital, Hobart, welcomes the field to the finish line, but not before a jaunt on the Cambridge Park stage to show the crowd what TARGA is all about. It's a tradition to raise a glass at Rest Point Hotel Casino and congratulate the successes of the TARGA field. The skill of preparing a car that is capable of such a challenge must be complemented by focus, navigation and driving for 6 days of competition. The modern champs once again became the local pair from white-hot racing. The sense of achievement was not lost on the car's owner and co-driver John White.
Happy? Crikey, you couldn't be happier. No, she was an absolutely fantastic 5 days. Jason drove the flaming wheels clean off it. The car itself, fantastic. And if you look at the first 2 stages of today, something else.
It's a great feeling. It's pretty amazing to think that we only built this car 4 weeks ago, but I think we've got a pretty happy crew around us and lots of friends and family that are going to be pretty keen to have a beer with us tonight.
The Delta Hydraulics Leaderboard for the Pure Tasmania Modern Competition sees the Whites having crossed the line with a 1-minute gap back to Ray Vandersee in second and Tony Quinn third. In Pure Tasmania Early Moderns, for vehicles made between 1982 and 2002, Mannion and Dean crossed the line first in their Nissan Skyline, followed closely by the Beebles in second, and Dowie and Bryan in third. The showroom competition was won by Tony Warren in his Evo 9 with co-driver Natasha Denise, ahead of the Mazda factory team of Rihanna Smythe and Brendan Reeves.
Didn't make any mistakes, that's the main thing, and just a very smooth run. Natasha was magnificent. My crew have done an absolute superb job. My wife's been great because she's just followed us everywhere today and helped us out everywhere. Just been fantastic.
The Shannon's Classic outright competition was dominated from stage 1 to 39 by the Porsche team of Broadbent and Randell.
I could see that it was going to be challenging. I didn't know quite how so, but you've just got to finish. You know, you don't have to win any of the stages. You just got to be standing at the end.
A tremendous performance again by father and son team Paul and Mike Batten, who finished second outright, but elected to take the Classic Handicap title.
It's a long journey, TARGA, and I mean the end result is great, but I think the journey it's a massive thing. It looks glamorous, but it's pretty hard work. So it's great to have pulled off a good run and to be at the finish.
Batten's drive epitomises what the event is all about. The celebration of motoring across the challenging roads of TARGA Tasmania, the world's ultimate tarmac rally.